What's up, guys? We are bringing you more coverage of the Tyyni 2019. I'm Eric Oakley.
I'm Tina Oakley. This is round 2, front 9 at the Ford course, sponsored by Latitude 64, Dynamic Discs, Natural Born Disc Golfer, and Ford, who also sponsors the entire course.
We got Eagle McMahon, Väinö Mäkelä, Samuel Hänninen, and Simon Lizotte. I thought Simon was from America.
Not anymore.
Oh, he's definitely from Germany. This is going to be a great card. These players are all very good. We had 2 10s in the first round, 1 9, and an 8. That's some pretty hot scores out of Nevas. We'll see how they can attack this wooded Ford Disc Golf Park.
Hole 1 is very different than the rest of the course. It's open in this rocky field, and there's a mandatory. You're going to see a straight line down the left side of the fairway, and then it cuts directly an L shape to the left.
Yeah. You're definitely trying to just push a hyzer out there, and you don't want to go too far. If you go too far, there's some trees that'll make your second shot a little more difficult and maybe even more blind on the approach. Nice.
I love Eagle's song.
Yeah.
It cracks me
it's
up.
just some Finnish pipe music, which is, win in Finland.
He loves Finland. Loves it.
And for most players in the open division, making this corner is very doable.
How far is it to that corner?
I think it's 100 meters.
100 meters.
Is what I saw.
You don't have to go all the way down. The Mando's not at the very end. It's right in the middle, so you can't cut straight towards that building. Is that another whale sound? Plug.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see whale sacks in Finland. It makes me so happy.
There's some smooth form from Väinö. And this wind was pretty strong as a tailwind.
You see it in the tree. Oh yeah, look at that.
And so even when you put your disc out on hyzer, you thought it was going to just make it fade left, but it actually just was so strong that it just kept pushing straight. And here we have Samuel. I'm not sure how old he is, but a lot of these Finns are not. There's a lot of young, incredibly good golfers, and it's just so impressive to see how clean they play.
That form is perfect.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Simon. That's a little bit long.
But you got plenty of distance.
Yeah, still accessible. Do you think everyone's looking for a 3 on this, or is a 4 okay?
In this wind, I think you want to have a putt for a 3, but you can't expect it because the next shot becomes really difficult
So
unless you can see the basket.
Yeah, the basket's pretty guarded actually. It's not in any big trees, but there's small trees around the entire thing. Oh, good stuff. And you guys are in for a treat. This first hole looks nothing like the rest of the course. I would put Ford in my top 10. My top 10 of disc golf courses. I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nothing like what you're seeing right now.
It was definitely my favorite of the event. I really liked the challenge that it offers. So you guys, again, as Tina mentioned, you guys are in for a real treat. It's a great sidearm from Eagle, coming up a little short. But
as you can see, there's all these little trees right in front of it, so it's tough to get around.
And yeah, unless you're closer to the OB line on the left, it's a pretty blind approach. So you're choosing your spot and trusting that you're going to be able to.
That's a great job.
Your skill is good enough to give yourself a look. That was a great shot from Väinö. Samuel opting for a backhand here. Great shot. That hard pack slides it a little long though.
Simon's way up there.
Yeah.
I thought he was further right than that.
That wind is slamming him down.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's
and he
fine.
fights through.
He'll have a pretty easy putt for him.
Mm-hmm. Eagle's got looks like a circle 2 look here. Just misses.
Oh, and a roll, too.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at comebackers, though.
That was a good bid from Samuel.
Yeah, it looks like they're a little further out than I thought they were. Circle
No.
edge or outside a circle, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Now Eagle has a...
Oh.
That was a headwind comeback putt. Definitely not what you want to have for your par to start your round.
He has some spin on his disc, too, so if you're hitting the basket and it's not going in, there's a good chance it's going to go a little bit further.
Good comeback from Samuel. Väinö trying to get his birdie and gain and
Got a
push
little
a
distracted
lead up to potentially 2 strokes over Eagle here.
Great putt.
That's great. Yeah.
That's such a pro move, I would say, that if you get distracted, you stop and you wait it out and wait till you're focused.
Mhm.
That's I think a separating factor between amateurs and professional players. They're willing to make those stops. Well, that ended up being a pretty eventful first hole.
Yeah.
Had a
And
3 and then a couple pars and
up 1 par, 2 birdies, and a bogey from Eagle. But moving on to hole 2, 180 meters. And this one is really all about trying to get out into the opening. If you can find a way to push yourself out into that fairway, it helps
you can
so
see
much.
where the light is at the end of that tunnel.
Get there.
That's where you're trying to get to turn over. I wouldn't call this a sidearm play for right-handers.
You can definitely get a sidearm out there. It's not necessarily your most overstable disc, so it's not as natural. But if you can get something that just has a nice little flip up hole and pushes its way out there, it's plenty. And you don't even have to get much farther than that green stake you might have just seen on the ground. And
Great.
for the opportunity for the birdie here on this par 4. So I opted for the sidearm, but I usually look for that type of shot as much as possible. And
But you're not going for distance. You're going for a layup
placement
to the outside of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had we had a little more time out here, I definitely would have looked maybe to throw that backhand look a little bit. Eagle
Early
hits
release
early.
there.
Not where you want to be, especially now. Again, we're getting into these. I think they're very beautiful woods, and they can be really tough to manage, as you're seeing from Eagle here.
Yeah, I was talking with someone, and if your tee shot is unfortunate, it puts you in a completely different position than if you even had a somewhat okay tee shot or some good luck.
Yeah.
You can take a 3 on a hole one day and then have a bad tee shot and get a 6 or a 7 just because you're put off the fairway and then you are scrambling all the way to the basket. It's just so much harder to stay composed. Yeah, these woods are pretty tight woods. There's a lot of small trees all over the place.
Slide up there.
There's this big hill right in front of the basket that discs tend to collect into.
Yes. You think they're getting there and then they just fall short. I feel like the wind and stuff is actually, you can feel a lot of the wind in these trees. It just wasn't allowing the discs to kind of push
them
up as
down.
far as you'd like. So
But you don't want too much height on it either because there's a pretty good drop off behind the basket. So even if you miss the landing zone, you could easily end up 60 long. That's a great shot.
Making a good correction from the other player's throwing and make sure he puts it to the top. Samuel.
Oh,
Looking
like
for
where
his
is he?
birdie. That looked like a great
Wow,
bid from
that
him.
was very close. Should have no trouble cleaning that up.
Eagle trying to collect.
It's par?
I think this would be for a bogey.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that patch.
What a putt.
That's a big deal right there. He could have easily lost his composure from the first hole with his putting woes. And again, there's that hill right there. So if he were to miss that one long, it could be a big difference. It's always a good feeling. It kind of puts you back into a different headspace if you can make some of those big putts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm good at this.
And honestly, this it becomes one of those things. It shows how good some of the best players are is when they can kind of manage the hole, even if they know it's not going to be for a birdie or par. It's not going to be for much more than that. And you know, it's impressive to see how good Eagle has gotten. That's a great connection from Eagle. Moving on to hole 3, another par 4, but this one is all woods. This is a great shot for a backhand turnover, flip up sidearm. But this one's really all about how far you can progress down the fairway. If you leak left or right, you might have a couple avenues, but it definitely becomes a lot more challenging.
Yeah, you're going to end up with some really small lines you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
And there's these little bunkers in the whole thing, so you can end up in the middle of the fairway but have compromised footing, which changes the way you play the hole as well.
From what I understand, I believe this the Ford Disc Golf Park used to be used for some military training and whatnot. So it's pretty cool to see. You can definitely tell that these were carved out by man, not by anything.
Yep, we collected a couple bullet shells actually.
Yeah,
old
it was
bullet
really
shells.
cool. Kept them for good luck.
It's a weird good luck token.
Yeah. Väinö taking an unlucky kick.
Just a little too tight, but he's throwing a slow disc, which is really the play. If you're throwing fast speed drivers, you can end up 100 feet off the fairway, which is going to be a big problem. So discing down in this situation is very smart. Come on.
Oh, I just pushed a little long, but again, there are avenues if you end up in a decent enough spot.
Yeah, these are great shots. They're just
a little off.
Literally an inch or 2 inches from where they need to be turning.
Mm-hmm. And I opted for the sidearm play again. This was just out of pure preference, just to kind of trust that I'm going to hit the line, trust that I'm going to get around the corner, and I'm going to make forward progress. But Eagle right here showing you how to really chew up some distance.
That's great.
Yeah.
He's the only one that really got all the way up there, right? Or did Simon had a good shot
Simon's
too?
was pretty decent as well. Väinö's got a lot of ground to travel, so he's hoping to give himself an opportunity here.
This hole being one of the early holes, I feel like can that was great. Can really impact your round. You get really stressed out trying to scramble back to the fairway. It's easy to start doubting your game, and it being so early on, you really want to feel confident. So minimizing mistakes and throwing more the safe shot than the risky shot is what you're going to see these players do.
Simon with his MD5,
Wow.
trying to flex it up there.
Oh,
catching
that
that
looks
last
so
one.
good.
He still
has
has a
a
look.
putt. Look at that.
And from where these players have been, I think it's not too bad that we're seeing them.
It's like
we're seeing them end up with opportunities for par, which is, at this point, not too bad for considering. Eagle.
That was a good example. Eagle had a really great drive, but ended up with super compromised footing and didn't really have a play other than a roller. So.
Yeah.
But it looks like he should still be able to get his par. I feel like a birdie on this hole is a huge accomplishment. Close.
Great bid from Väinö.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Let's go, dude.
That's amazing. putt. Especially after the last hole.
Mm-hmm. And Simon being down in that ditch might have made that putt just even that extra bit of difficulty.
Great putt.
Good putt from Eagle. One birdie and a couple pars, a handful of pars. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Look at this.
That's so far. And like perfect too.
So good. So we're on to our first par 3, hole 4. This is just dead straight, 84 meters, and
It's an interesting shot shape though. It's not a dead straight shot. It's something you kind of have to throw on the left side of the fairway if they're throwing backhand, right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And like it has to flip up a little late because there's this one little tree on the right side. I see a lot of putter shots from the MPO division. I think this is a really fun one.
I enjoyed this one a lot.
It's not a gimme by any means.
I enjoyed this one a lot. I think it's a very good technical par 3. Most players are, expecting at least a putt on this one.
Definitely.
And when you miss it, you kind of feel bummed, but it is a wooded hole, so
yeah,
it's
a should
happen.
get, but I mean you shouldn't be taking more than a 3 really.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely wanted to.
Totally.
But even when you get to the basket, there's a few trees that you can be in the perfect spot and you have the most awkward putt.
Mm-hmm.
I played with Anna and she had this perfect putt between these two trees, and she made it. It was amazing, but like these trees on the right side right there, little guardian trees.
Väinö with a great shot, showing you exactly what you want it to look like. Little bit of hyzer, gentle flip up.
Is everyone throwing putters?
Right through. I would imagine. This might actually be an MD3 from Eagle.
Okay.
And he went wide. I don't think he meant to, but
really?
Yeah, I think they just pulled that one.
Oh, there's Anna. Nice putt, Anna.
Oh my gosh.
That was a great bid.
Yeah, being only at 84 meters, even when you hit these trees.
Well, and it makes it a lot more uphill.
Yeah, bogey shouldn't be in play. But, it's, it is, again, then it is the woods.
The rolls are possible too. It's a little lifted. It's not like on a mound, but the basket is a little lifted.
Mm-hmm. Almost back to back from Samuel.
Nice.
Come back from Eagle. And,
he seems to be waking up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And we're getting into a stretch of par 3s that it's a part of the course at Ford where you really want to be picking up some birdies and scoring, and because there's shortly looming after that are some really, really difficult par 4s. So we'll see how these players can navigate these woods and try and add some 2s to that scorecard to keep their scores low. Simon's putt is beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the nose up. I love
so
the touch he has. It's a great spin. Hole 5, 94 meters. This one plays a little more difficult. It's on 2 tires, so it's a kind of a slightly elevated pin. There are 2 routes, a real straight route on the left side that plays pretty well for a turnover. But what you're going to see most players do is probably throw a hyzer or flex shot with something overstable and try and push themselves through the right side gap. This is all about committing. All about committing and working the disc.
That's pretty much exactly what you want with a little more fade, but he hit the line perfectly. I would have been super satisfied with that result.
Yeah, this is it.
It looks small. It feels smaller.
Yeah. It's a fair hole, though, I would say.
Yeah.
The shot is there. It's,
I
it's
think
all
a
about
few years
commitment.
ago I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
But it is. There's definitely lines.
This is one of those holes that it can frustrate you real quick because of how tight it is.
It's very, very tight. That's a great shot. He'll have
Yeah,
a putt. It's still a risky putt because it's on that raised basket, but you probably won't be seeing layups from this card. I wouldn't expect.
Eagle with an FD3. This is exactly what you want it to look like. He pushes a little long, but he's got a putt. He just took a nice overstable disc, pushed it down that right side, and let the disc overstability work himself back. That's well done. On Samuel, you know, he's not feeling good about that, but he'll still have a long putt to try and save his par.
Unlike the last hole, though, this is a par 3. I think you do see a lot of 4s on.
Mm-hmm.
It is so hard to get to the basket if
Totally.
you get off the fairway. It's like, it's easy to get 60 feet or how many meters?
94 meters.
Well, never mind.
94 meters to the.
It's
from tee
easy to
pin.
get not very far off the tee, and
Yeah.
then you're scrambling all the way to the basket.
Oh,
Dang.
just out the left side for Simon.
That was a good run.
And, you know, I think mostly what woods golf is about is, you know, how much distance can you cover off of the tee? You know, that becomes so important. And Eagle connects for his 2, which is awesome. You know, and if you can cover that ground, it usually makes, you know, at least par relatively easy to achieve. But if you're hitting early, you know, pars feel like bonuses for sure, especially on some of the holes that you guys are going to see here soon. You know, it becomes very, very tough to scramble. Now, pretty averaging right around par for that hole. That kind of makes sense. 1 bogey, 2 pars. Eagle connecting just over the rim.
You want that, though. You don't want them too high on these baskets. It'll pop right out from that angle.
Hole 6, 90 meters. This is, you know, pick your poison. Do you like the backhand turnover? Do you like the sidearm slightly flipped up? This is really just a committed shot. It doesn't take much to execute here. You just want to be challenging a little long.
It's very far right, and if you get into those woods, you can tell how little those trees are.
Mm-hmm.
It is gnarly back there, so you at least want to stay on the fairway.
Mm-hmm.
You'll either see some sidearms where you can still see the line you're trying to hit, or I think putters are really popular because you're not going to get too far into the woods if you do miss. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
great.
Whoa.
What a shot from Väinö.
That was beautiful.
That's,
And I've seen this a few times. There's a tiny little dip right there with a couple rocks behind. It just like holds on to the disc like, all right, you get a birdie.
Simon with an Iron Samurai, MD3, Eagle McMahon Tour Series. Oh, and into the bowl.
Into the bowl. The birdie bowl.
Birdie bowl. Yeah. I really like the sidearm here. It's just something you just push to hyzer just before the stuff long. Just like these turnovers are kind of challenging the stuff long, but just drifting in front of them.
They seem to be hitting that line pretty great, though.
Mm-hmm.
Play to your strengths, you know.
Mm-hmm. And Eagle's looking like he is in no man's land. He'll pitch up and get his par.
Par bowl.
Now it's a par bowl. Samuel as well was, you know, leaked a little bit.
Yeah. 3 is fine. I think this is probably one that the MPO division really wants a 2 on. It's just so reachable.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I like this course so much, is that these holes are extremely challenging and very demanding on the tee. But they're not holes that everyone is just gonna get.
Yeah.
And pretty much every hole on this course, you can birdie, as the MPO field anyways, but you can absolutely bogey
Yeah.
too. It's
Any
very fair.
moment. Such clean form from Väinö. Watch these guys play. So a very tricky hole 7. OB right in front. 78 meters. This was actually a pretty tough headwind when we played it, and so it made it very difficult of what disc you wanted to choose. If it's a calm day, you're throwing something nice and neutral, dead straight at it, and trusting that you're going to get up there for a birdie look.
This was one of the only holes that I'm not a big fan of. The OB feels really harsh, and like Eric was saying, if it's windy, you can't feel it on the tee, but it's absolutely present near that gap. I saw a ton of shots that looked beautiful, and then once they got to that gap, just completely turned and burned into the pond. And so it's frustrating to throw a really good shot and then
you can see
look at that
wind messing with Simon's
but
disc.
There was 0 at the tee pad. So it's a challenge for sure, but not being a local, maybe if you know that, it's easier to play it. Oh, you can feel it. I guess that was a big gust.
Yeah.
But you get my point. And then if you do go into that pond on the drive, there's a drop zone on this side of the pond, which is a fair drop zone, I think, for what it's trying to do. Oh, yes. That is great. You don't want to be too high if you're throwing the drive at the basket. There's a bunch of stuff right behind the basket, and you can definitely get into it and then not even have a putt for birdie. I'd rather be short than long on this one.
This one drifting right, but I think might
he'll
have
be
cleared.
past the OB.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it goes all the way up that hill, as you can see. It's not just the little pond. Oh my goodness. He is an unreal putter. That's so fun to watch. No wonder he's on lead card.
Putts like that, I'll definitely earn you spots on lead card. Get in there. As you know, a bunch of people will say there's no pictures on the scorecard. Eagle getting his 2.
Only
we
video.
might see a nice star frame from these guys if Simon can connect, and Väinö's looking very tasty. Yes, there you go. This is a good hole to get. You definitely want to get it and help get your scores low. Again, this is one of those par 3s that I've mentioned that you really want to score to help your rounds again stay low.
But then everyone else is getting a 4, right?
I hit early and got my 3, so it was pretty nice. So we're moving on to hole 8, 120 meter par 3.
This is an interesting hole.
It is. This is the hole that
really
Silverlap aced this round
yeah.
with a sweet flex sidearm. So shout out to Silver for that. That's pretty rad. Danger on the left and the right, as the Finns say, Meri. You're supposed to roll your R there. Meri. It's
Meri.
Meri. Thank you.
Eric's not very good at rolling his R's.
And it's what I believe it means is death, but it might not actually mean that. But it definitely feels like when you end up on the left or right.
And you just swore.
I don't know. Sorry, Finns, if I swore. But if you're on the left or right, it's very difficult to get back to the basket. I had to throw from a knee under some branches and slide it up on this hard pack ground just to get my par. But
that looked perfect. I thought that was going to park the basket, but that wind up there just pushes.
It takes
and
the disc.
A little unpredictable as well. It definitely feels different on the tee pad. I was interested to see this one because it looks so reachable and aceable and, accessible. I even was like, oh, I can get here. But it seems to be challenging.
Oh, it's incredibly
for everyone.
challenging.
Like that, again, was like a great shot, and he's barely going to have a putt at it. So I think this is a good hole, though. It's really cool.
It's a wonderful par 3. It's everything you want from a par 3. What
baby,
a shot from Samuel.
Look at that. That was amazing.
It has the challenge. It has the danger. It has all of the tools to be a good hole.
Grenade? Oh boy.
The guy was very close to getting hit on the noggin. He doesn't want to be there anymore. And see, this is...
It's a good out, though. You don't have a lot of
Simon
options.
not having much from in there.
It's okay.
And Väinö still has a lot left on it to save his par.
Oh.
Eagle almost catches his birdie.
Yeah, he's pretty long down there.
Väinö for par. And you can definitely see these trees moving. The wind is very prevalent on this hole, and you know adds to the challenge. You've been in the woods, you know, not as much wind, a little breeze here and there, and it just catches you off guard real quick.
This sounds bad, but I'm actually kind of glad to see these guys struggle on this hole, because it was the first putt that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm stressed out. I was like, this was the most intimidating putt that I had to make, and I didn't make it. I was just so worried about it. So I'm glad to see it wasn't just me.
That's some good composure.
That was great.
I know he doesn't feel happy about the score he's taken here, but
The wind is
connecting
just
with a putt is good.
way more swirly and active in this pocket than most of the, other than hole one.
So there's a lot of hillsides around here. So once the wind actually catches, I feel like it stays in, because they have these like really tall hills that are keeping the wind going and bouncing it around. Samuel getting a great 2. This is a stroke and some on our players. So he's gonna feel super solid about that.
You took a 3?
Simon took a 3. Samuel had a 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of 2s on that.
No, not many, but it was...
1 ace and...
Yeah.
and a lot of 3s.
Hole 9, 213 meter par 4. This is pretty simple. Throw your shot into this landing zone before the OB and approach this green. It's slightly like up then downhill over to the green, but a pretty routine par 4 that you want to be picking up. Just stay out of that OB, and par is easy to manage, but you're definitely looking for that birdie.
From what I saw from the MPO division, their first shot is more of a layup because of where that OB plays in. The FPO is playing full power drives and then another full power drive or a layup on the right side. So it plays kind of similar, just
Totally.
opposite drives.
Simon gets a good cut off of that roll. He stays away from the Mäkelä.
Yeah, as long as you're in the middle, I think you have a really good opportunity for a birdie.
Eagle learning from Simon's drive, hanging out a little bit more. This is all you need. You don't have to chew up too much ground off of this tee shot. It's a second shot hole for sure. You just need to make sure you're able to throw a comfortable second shot.
Yep.
Very smooth. Very good.
See the wind playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful shot. That's like prime position.
Mm-hmm.
You got a hyzer to the basket from there, and the OB doesn't even really play in.
Now, for all these players, you know, unless they're obstructed, you know, for whatever reason, that's the only way you'll find OB. But you know, this is routine. Smack it out there, push it long into these trees, and you should have a look. Simon just needs to check up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll
He's
have an
got a putt.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's a good shot from Simon.
Yeah, this looks kind of guarded, but it's not really. It's pretty open in the front. Unless you go long or left or right, you're not going to have any problems.
So Eagle feeling super confident about his discs and everything. So he's going with his Tiger Warrior. This is a putter. He's pushing it up
It's a
on
putter?
hyzer. Yeah, and just trusting that it's going to just glide its way there. We were talking about this. He's surprised at how stable that one is for him, and he's been trusting it a lot. That's a great shot because it doesn't have a whole lot of action. It's not going to leak too far left or right if he hits it right. Oh yeah, Final's gonna like that one. Samuel is here for his birdie. Great
He's
hit.
an outstanding putter. He's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And he's cruising right now.
He's playing
put
pretty well.
together
Yeah, he
handful
had the
of
one
birdies.
bogey, but
Yeah.
he's doing very, very well. Simon connects
Another
as
great
well.
putt.
This could be potential for another star
Yeah,
frame.
2 in a row. I guess that's not too surprising
Not
from
2 in a row.
from lead card.
We had that other hole.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll just pretend that one doesn't exist.
Yeah, that one's hard. Good catch. It's a good putt. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
This is great from our lead card action. You know, seeing them play very, very well on this front 9.
Well, at least they got to throw these giant drives on that hole because they're about to have to hit this tiny little gap.
Oh, we're
200, 300 feet off the fairway or off the tee pad.
So if you guys are ready to see some of that, tune into the back 9. We got Eagle and Samuel at 11, Väinö and Simon at 13. We got a battle going on, so make sure you guys, again, check out the back 9.
Join us.
Thanks, SM, for the coverage. We appreciate you all. Thank you, the Tyyni, you know, Yuha, everybody who's out here for making this happen. Make sure you guys check these guys out on Patreon. And thanks for watching.
Bye.
Later.
Later, Gator.